We're seeing more and more of these lately. It's being called the Pikachu cryptid. They're all over the United States.
They found the baby alien that was on the sidewalk and ate everybody. Take a look at this. So this one was rejected by the mothership, so it was like sitting there posing for the camera, and then it ate everybody.
Why would you want to sit there and be around the alien that just ate someone? This is one of the reasons why I don't get in the water.
Wow. Ay, grabe. Grabe yung lakas.
That really shows how strong octopus or squid suction is, even after the arm is disconnected. That's one of the reasons why I tell the delivery person to leave it on the floor and leave, and then I come pick it up a couple of minutes later.
You guys didn't believe me that they were guarding these shipping containers that are hauling military equipment. If you try to even go near there, cops will start coming. And they will try to steal your footage. This is no joke. I'm putting my life on the line to bring you guys this footage.
A lot of people don't realize that tuna is an apex predator. Those things are huge. Hundreds of pounds. They can get up to like 500 plus pounds. That literally look like one of them toys you would have a string on, like a pendulum. That's what it looked like to me. That definitely didn't look real whatsoever.
What is that?
It looked like some fireworks or something.
Aliens? I don't know.
What the heck
What
is
that? You see it, right?
I'm actually, yes,
Okay.
I do see it.
Okay.
And it's getting weirder by the second.
I know.
It's like they're sticking around.
We're gonna do some
Anybody?
digging and figure out what that is. Back in a moment.
If anyone knows what that is, please let me know in the comments.
Very interesting video.
Isaac! Isaac!
To light side by side filmed in sky somewhere above the United States.
Bro!
What could they be?
He's gone?
There are reports of one UAP splitting into two. Is that what's happening
Look,
here?
you can see right through it. It's not a drone or anything.
I can remember, it's always a...
So check this out. We've lived here for 3.5 years at this exact place. We're looking dead south right now. The sun always sets in the west. Always. It's setting right now. Why is it setting in the south? Can anybody verify where they're at? I'm in North Phoenix, Scottsdale.
With all the weird stuff going on nowadays, who knows why it's going in the south.
I do believe there were Cabbage Patch Babies. This is basically what I believe is a homunculus. Homunculus, I think I'm saying it right. This is when a human is grown in the ground like a root. Have you ever seen a mandrake root that looks like a little man? I think this is really what alchemy was. The art of bringing life into existence without a mother's womb. If you look into homunculus, be prepared. It's pretty gruesome.
Did he just finish watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood or something? I think if this was real, the military would definitely be using it, not recruiting people.
Recent archaeological discovery in Egypt unearthed the figure of a pharaoh with reptilian features. The figure with a leathery surface suggests it's not a statue, but a real being reported to be 9 foot with an injury under its left armpit. Maybe its cause of death. It wasn't mummified. Instead, it was buried unmarked in the Valley of the Kings, Egypt.
That makes me think of Sobek, if you know anything about Egyptian mythology.
My goodness. That is amazing. She's gonna eat the gun. She's trying to. Whoa. Nice positioning. Find a sub, Captain. This is fantastic.
Wow, look at the size. I mean, this female, she's definitely bigger than the sub is long.
Yeah.
Man, a submarine has to be fascinating yet terrified at the same time. You get to see cool stuff like that, but to me, it's just so dangerous.
I need to get your flashlight off so you can see it.
Take it there. Hang on.
Do anyone else find it concerning that all these videos of UFOs are coming out like more and more? I understand we have smartphones, but we had smartphones for over a decade now, and now we're seeing them more and more. You know, when Toy Story first came out in 1995, I vividly remember seeing it as a kid because I thought what the video just showed was actually happening when I wasn't around. It terrified this video, just making me really wonder if that was actually happening.
TikTok, we have some huge news. It's happening again. If you remember the videos I posted in the past, you'll know what these shipping containers are. These shipping containers keep getting dropped off in my community. This one is number 48. And I'm sure there's a lot more coming. Literally about every week now, they drop off a new one of these containers and military vehicles get pulled out of it. We're talking Humvees. We're talking military helicopters. We're talking ammunition. And they just keep carting it around to a facility down the road. We need to get some answers about this because every time I try to interview someone or get somebody on camera, they say to bug off or else I'm going to be arrested. Arrested for being in my own community. So if you see this symbol anywhere, let me know.
They say Aldi Fresh, but their salads contain bioengineered food ingredients. Their bagels contain bioengineered food ingredients. Not so fresh. No artificial flavors, but it contains bioengineered food ingredients. Even the granola bars or fruit bars contains bioengineered food ingredients.
This next week.
It's convenient, so it come at a price. It is fresh from the lab. But in all seriousness, all the food she showed was unhealthy processed food, even the salad. You know, that's for convenience. You know, I learned that the hard way, gaining 50 plus pounds, that processed and convenient food is just not worth it. Now I find myself 90% of the time just cooking and making everything myself from real ingredients.
Mitch is about to describe the devil.
The trouble is, when you play with the devil, he doesn't play fair. He'll give you everything you want, all the drugs you want, all the women you want, all the promises, and all the power you want. And when he's done with you, he'll kick the legs out from under you. And that's why you hear rock stars sometimes say, I sold my soul to the devil. Mm-hmm. Because once you make that trade, he'll give you what you want. But people need to understand that the devil is not sharing his kingdom with anyone. And I was studying all this witchcraft. I thought everything was wonderful. The same spirits that gave me power began to turn on me. I thought I had arrived. And that the same spirits that gave me power to read cards and astral project and the psyche power. It was as if all of a sudden the same voices that would say this man is committing adultery or this woman steals at work or this girl's going to get married last year when I was reading cards would now say to me, you should die. Said I would walk around with a gun in my mouth. I can remember the metal used to burn my tongue. I would just suck on a gun, waiting for the moment to stop this power that I had entered into, to stop the destruction of my mind.
Check out this amazing footage coming straight out of Ukraine. What appears to be a UAP illuminating and glowing in the night sky, shooting beams down from the sky. If you look at the video closely, there appears to be some type of craft behind the clouds. He is the one releasing these glowing beams at a downward position, as you guys can see in the video. So it's not something that's illuminating upward. It's coming from the sky. Whatever this is, it's crazy. Some are calling it extraterrestrials. Others are calling it a UAP. What do you guys think this is? Comment below. Also, support the channel. Don't forget to repost and also give the video a like. Thanks for watching, guys.
I tried finding information on the video we just saw with the red and blue lights, even looking at what people in Ukraine are saying, and nobody seems to know what it is. So if anyone have any idea, leave a comment below. I would love to know. It reminds me of the movie Nope.
Can I help you?
Yeah, where that money at?
You need to get out.
What? Man, what the fuck? Stop paying me. Where that money at?
I don't have any money.
Stop paying me. Where's that right now?
I don't have cash. It's digital world, bro.
Man, give me your wallet.
I don't have it.
Give me your wallet. Right now. Give it to me. Bro, stop this.
You gonna shoot me?
Give me that wallet, man.
Get the fuck out of here. You don't want to get shot? Come on, man.
Give me that wallet, bro.
No.
Bro, stop playing me for I hate you, okay? Give me that wallet, bro.
Fuck you. And I got on my camera too.
Oh, look at you. Fucking awesome. Not gonna lie, I'm super grateful for you right now.
Well, ex-military, fuck him.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane.
Show me his gun.
That guy was an idiot. Why would you rob Uber when they're known for having dash cams inside and outside to protect themselves from all sorts of liabilities? I hope he got arrested.
This y'all Spider-Man, right? And everybody says people have to pay a price in order to get into Hollywood. Now, Tom Holland is facing those repercussions. Do you guys remember when Cat Williams went on Shay Shay and he mentioned when you sell your soul to Hollywood that they make you wear a dress and wig? Look, just so y'all know, Hollywood is a secret club that not everybody is allowed to get in. People trade family, friends, whatever it takes for them to make it to this level. And you can see it, him wearing a wig on stage. And as heartless as the industry is, think about it. Tom Holland is one of the nicest dudes in the world, and they don't even care. They'll still sit there and humiliate him on stage. And the scariest thing about the whole thing is the fact that who are they going to humiliate next?
Do you know why you should never use a public bathroom?
Oh boy.
Because recently police are finding that people are actually getting really sick and dying from using public bathrooms.
What would possibly be killing people in a public bathroom?
So just last week, there was an investigation in California where they went in public bathrooms and they found that the toilet paper used in public bathrooms are actually killing people. So what they found was that people that do drugs will go into public bathrooms, get their needle, stick it into the side of the toilet paper to clean off the needle, so all the gunk and the blood and whatever residue gets stuck into the toilet paper, and then they clean off the needle. But since their blood and substances get all over the toilet paper on the inside, it then gets stuck onto the toilet paper when people use it. So when a normal person goes into the public bathroom and they use the toilet paper, they don't see all the poked holes and all the blood on it because usually there's a case around the toilet paper. So some specialists are saying that it's safer to use the toilet seat cover as toilet paper instead of the actual toilet paper.
Okay, I'm never going to use the toilet paper in a public bathroom again. That's crazy.
Yeah, but when you look at the toilet paper, right?
Yeah.
See, they're not stabbing it dead center.
Right.
They're stabbing from the side, right? So you can't see it.
Yeah. You would never be able to know. You would literally never be able to know. Because if they're going in from the side, you will never see it.
Yeah.
You will literally never see it.
I actually saw this on a YouTube. I think his name was Tyler. He makes a lot of journalism videos, and it showed that in a public bathroom. I think it was in Oregon or California, and I was just in disbelief because, just like they were saying, you would never know.
You guys heard that thing about the night vision goggles?
No.
Weird, dude. You know, night vision now, it's green. But in the Vietnam War, the night vision goggles that they were issued were red light, and multiple people in the U.S. military that were using them were seeing what they were reporting as flying demons.
Ooh, stop.
And so there's an instance where they're flying these helicopters in Vietnam. It was a safe zone, no hostility. And then the gunner in the back just started shooting. And the pilot's like, "What are you shooting at?" And this guy, he was like panicked and he's like sweating and like it looked like he was like seeing a demon. And like, "What are you shooting at?" And he's like, "The demon." Apparently this giant winged demon creature was like flying at him. And then people on the ground in the jungles that were using it, they were also seeing like these demonic looking, freaky looking creatures. And so the military banned those night vision goggles.
What?
And they replaced them with green light.
Did the bullets work?
I've looked into it a little bit because I heard the same thing, but what they argued against it is that they were putting stuff inside the chemicals in the goggles that the chemical was literally leaking, and so they were literally tripping or having some type of like it was a hallucinogenic. That's what Jacob Ladders is all about. The movie.
People.
That's actually what I was going to say, that I think it's probably just a chemical leaking. This is around a long time ago when safety regulations weren't really a big thing.
Have said that Alex Jones is actually working for the CIA, and it's because he says all these crazy conspiracy theories or like stuff that's happened, and like, but he adds in Hillary Clinton is a lizard woman, so it like discredits everything he says. So
His
people
delivery,
are like, they're saying that he's saying real things that are happening or are going to happen. It's immediately discredited by how psycho he is.
Reputation,
You have to at least agree that that would be a good strategy.
Yeah.
If you were trying to like make something seem silly, you would put it among other very silly things.
What do we call that tactic? A silly tactic?
Yeah. I think there's only one way to handle this, General. I think we gotta get silly.
Somebody call Alex.
So yeah, bring in Mr. Jones.
But it was funny, on the Joe Rogan podcast I listened to, he was saying crazy stuff. Joe Rogan was like getting mad at him. He's like, "What proof do you have?" And he's like, "I'm telling you, man." He's like, Jamie, look it up. Everything Alex Jones was saying, Jamie's like, "Yeah, he's right." And then Joe Rogan's like, "This is what's driving me nuts." He's like, 95% of the things that you say are indeed correct, but you're being a psychopath about everything.
Your delivery is so whack.
According to Snyder, the U.S. government signed an agreement in 1954 with extraterrestrials, granting them the right to experiment on humans and cattle in exchange for technology. This agreement was known as the Grenada Treaty, and it is a well-documented event. The original terms for this treaty were that only a small number of humans would be abducted. They had to be returned to their original locations, and their memories had to be wiped. The aliens were supposed to submit a list of the individuals they were taking to Majestic 12, a government overseeing committee. However, after a few years of this, it became clear that the aliens were taking far more humans than they had originally bargained for, which spawned the origins of the alien-human conflict that persists to this day.
I forget what president it was that they said signed it. I think it was Eisenhower. I could be wrong, but it's not too surprising. That was around time technology started to kind of more and more like start growing rapidly. So I could see that.
Okay, so I want to talk about this again. This video has really caught my eye, not because I think it's real, because of course there's people that are going to say it's absolutely not real. But let me tell you, from my experience, this is exactly what they do. That's why I want to share it. You can make your mind up whether or not you think it's real, but this is exactly what they do. Exactly. So somebody has seen something. This is what blew my mind about this old video. And I'm telling you now, the guy in the fedora that you heard me talk about that transformed into me, he transformed into a dog, into a cat, and then to a black panther on the floor, all fours, then transformed back into the guy with the fedora that looked like me with the church coat, then materialized into the wall, and his nostrils flared up like a demon. And he did the exact same thing that this guy is doing. 9 times out of 10, this is going to be an effect. There's going to be somebody doing it. But guys, I'm telling you, this is exactly what's taking place around us. This is exactly what they do. So whoever did this, great job. Great job. If it's real, great job of that as well. Leave your comments.
That makes me want to stay home all the time now.
This has been hidden for centuries. The Eiffel Tower's real purpose is extremely different to what you've been told. Most people believe it is just a symbol of Parisian culture and the industrial age, but there is far more. Its secrets could have revolutionized the world. The Eiffel Tower was completed in 1889 for the World's Fair. It was designed as a temporary exhibit showcasing modern engineering. But here is where it gets interesting. There is overwhelming evidence that the tower was actually built as a giant antenna for wireless electricity experiments. Nikola Tesla visited Paris in the 1880s, and during his visit he met with Gustave Eiffel and shared his vision of a world powered by free wireless energy. Tesla proved that with his Wardenclyffe Tower invention that could wirelessly transmit electricity across the globe. Eiffel was fascinated by Tesla's ideas and incorporated these principles into the design of the tower. The lattice structure is not just an aesthetic choice, but it gets even stranger. During the construction of the Eiffel Tower, there were reports of strange electromagnetic phenomena and unexplained lights around the tower. Local newspapers often mention mysterious experiments conducted late at night. Some even claim to have seen sparks and glowing orbs.
There's actually a younger guy on YouTube that actually showcases wireless technology. I showed it, or maybe one of my first videos ever in January. So yeah, I think it's definitely possible that was a thing. But of course, the greedy people would never allow electricity to be free.
This is my first time being pulled over.
Alright, can I see your driver's license registration, please?
Yeah,
It's not a big deal.
here's my license, but, this is my mom's car, so...
Where are you headed to where you're speeding and missing stop signs?
I was just headed to a friend's house. It's, like, literally right there. It's,
Okay.
a birthday party.
Got it.
Not mine, but...
Any drugs or alcohol in the vehicle?
No, of course not.
Alright. Sit tight, sir. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Your registration is What the?
Sarah?
What the heck? Sarah? 3201. Did this?
I didn't even see it.
Alright.
This
No
is
worries.
my first time being pulled over.
Alright. Can I see your driver's license registration, please?
Yeah,
It's not a big deal.
here's my license, but, this is my mom's car, so...
Where are you headed to where you're speeding and missing stop signs?
I was just headed to a friend's house. It's, like, literally right there. It's,
Okay.
a birthday party.
Got it.
Not mine, but...
Any drugs or alcohol in the vehicle?
No, of course not.
Alright. Sit tight, sir. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Your registration is What the?
Sarah?
What the heck? Sarah? 3201.
I can't believe how stretched that's maybe why it's like.
We should probably go downstairs.
Yeah, look at
We
that
definitely
tree. The trees seem fine.
My house and sucks this son of.
I got hit by
Here's the hill. Get under. Back up.
In my opinion, they should have went into the basement. It don't look like it's moving, so it's obviously coming towards them.
Bro, what is going on? People saying that Walmart is going out of like closing down stores and shit like that, and then they saying the systems is down with Walmart. People talking about some you need perishables, you know what I'm saying, canned goods and shit like that. Bro, what the actually, like, it's becoming a lot more evident now that something is about to happen. And it started with the TikTokers being banned, me being banned, I just being banned, a whole bunch of other people being banned. What the going on, yo? Like, this is something that I've been waiting on. Everybody been waiting on this shit. But now that it's finally here, what the actually going on? Because now it's actually time to lock in. And that's why I'm making this video, because it ain't to fearmonger. It should seem more scary than what it is. I'm telling y'all, lock the in. It ain't the time to panic. It ain't the time to be scared. Lock in spiritually, mentally, and physically. Because you don't want to be panicking. You don't want to be scared. So with that being said, lock in until this shit actually hit the fan. Get canned goods. Get the stuff that you can. Get everything that you can. Water, all that stuff. Just make sure you lock in. Don't panic. Keep yourself calm. All that shit. I'm going to keep on updating y'all. I'm going to keep on speaking on my perspective. And
if you wasn't scared of the monster hiding inside your closet, you will be after you see this picture. Oftentimes, children are scared of the monster hiding under their bed or in the closet. The follower who submitted this picture to me might have proof that we really do need to be afraid of our closets. The following story and picture came out of Houston, Texas from one of my followers, and it was just a routine night at work, or so he thought. Shortly after getting to work, he got to his desk like he typically does, and his wife FaceTimed him. And while they're looking at each other, she can see him, he can see her. They're just having conversation, and then she asked, "I didn't know you was training a new employee tonight." And he replied with, "I'm not, I'm here alone." And she said, "No, you can tell me. Obviously there's someone else there with you." And he again replied, "No, I'm here alone. What are you talking about?" So she said, "I'm going to take a screenshot." And this is what she captured. This is the picture she took, the screenshot. And it's a little fuzzy, I know, but you can see this is his chair here and the closet behind him. But if you will look just right here, there's a face. I believe this is something demonic. No one was there with him. He was there all alone. He was training no new employees. And this is why we really should be scared of the monster in the closet. If you guys have any paranormal stories, pictures, or videos, let me know in the comments. Have a great day. God bless.
Alright, check this out, because the fruit that you're eating is basically plastic and Bill Gates is behind it. If you didn't know already, Bill Gates has been pushing for this for years. He owns Appeal, which is the little logo you see right here on this avocado. Basically, all Appeal does is sprays your fruit with a chemical layer so that it will last longer in the stores. And if you've seen any of the videos on TikTok recently about the plastic avocados, bananas, and watermelons, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, just look at that. It looks completely fake. And if you've tried any fruit with a label Appeal, then you know it doesn't look or taste real. The whole idea behind Appeal is so that you don't need plastic to wrap your vegetables anymore, because they say it traps in the moisture with a chemical layer they spray on top of it. And it can keep a fruit from decomposing for weeks longer than one that is natural. Just look at the difference in these two avocados at 21 days. Just imagine what this is doing to your insides if it's doing this to fruit. But Appeal isn't just backed by Bill Gates, it's also backed by none other than Oprah and Katy Perry. And this isn't even close to the end of what Bill Gates and other big names are trying to do to our food. As we all know, Bill Gates is the largest farmland owner in the United States. And he is no longer just targeting your produce. He's coming for your meat too. And his alternative? Bugs. He has been heavily invested into companies that turn bugs into a bug protein powder. And this is going to be used to create meats, cereals, and pastas. Bill Gates isn't the only one who's heavily investing into bug protein. These companies just received a huge funding from DARPA. Yep, that's right. Department of Defense is investing into bug protein. And even the Department of Agriculture is investing into bug protein to start pushing it farther into our food systems. I don't know about y'all, but I'd rather not eat plastic avocados and bugs.
I can understand it. DARPA getting into that for the soldiers, you know, when they on deployment. But other than that, yeah, they need to keep it out of our food, because what they don't tell you is, especially with the lab grown meat, it's a lot of chemicals to make like it's bleeding and things like that, and that's harmful. So I had to take that out. I don't know if it's official they took the fake blood out, but yeah, when I had it once and I thought it was so disgusting. Like, it didn't even taste like real meat to me.
Yeah.
So could you quickly explain for people that don't know that do yoga why they shouldn't and what it is?
Yeah, yoga is kind of a meditation. You sit in a certain posture to invite certain spirit realm. You think you are just exercising your body, but it's actually the tantra to go with it. Certain hand gestures mean certain goddess like fire god or water god or whatever god they are inviting in. Many yoga classes, they ask you to make certain faces. Those faces really represent those goddesses. You are really entertaining the Hindu goddesses. Another thing, the word meditation I mentioned, yoga teaches you to meditate and empty yourself, less empty yourself, less empty yourself. The whole idea of empty yourself is because the Hindu worshippers, they don't understand what demonic realm is. They are still in the darkness. You leave it empty for the demonic realm to walk into your life, and you don't even notice, and you end up getting sucked into so many different things. But meditation in Christ-like life, if you would like to invite Jesus in your heart, then you meditate on His word. That means that you empty yourself, but you don't leave it empty. You straight away ask the Holy Spirit to move in your realm and recite the Bible verse you have thought about. For example, simple. Even if you say, Jesus, I trust in you, in a time like that, He moves in and doesn't leave you empty. And that is the true meditation.
Some weird sound coming out of it. Can't even hear that plane right there. That sounds way louder than that plane.
Yeah, you hear that? Finally hearing that plane. That's the plane. You hear that? You hear that? Sounds like it's coming from over there.
Sounds like it's coming from every direction.
This is my bedroom. You see? Not here. I had her suitcase from when she was here. Just me, and if I do have a guest, I have a bed.
As Wade guides the officers through his home, nothing in particular is jumping out, but just as it seems the search is coming to a close, one thing catches the officer's eye.
I don't have anyone here.
Okay.
I just
Alright, man.
myself.
What's in the cooler?
Oh, that's for when the summer comes around. I'm going to have parties and stuff, so.
Alright, no problem. Can you open that for me and then we'll get out of here?
Well, not right now I can't. I want to save that for later.
Okay.
For when the summer gets here, so. But I showed you, she hasn't been here in forever.
Okay. Well, why don't you just open that cooler and we'll get out of here. I just want to make sure anywhere that she could be hiding.
She's not going to be hiding.
Well, okay. I just need to know that, okay?
No, I can help you out there, but I've shown you everything.
Okay.
Wade seems eager to end the search and get back to bed, but his strangely evasive behavior is only working against him.
Alright.
You want to open that cooler for me?
Well,
can you open the fridge for me? Make sure she's not hiding in there?
There's no point in the fridge either. It's just food and stuff.
I understand.
You know.
Alright, why don't you throw your shoes on real quick?
Well, I helped you out. I showed you.
You did partially, but do you have shoes you can throw on real quick?
A little bit. But here, I'll help you out. You know.
Okay, I'll help you out. Go on out.
Well, I gotta
You're detained right now, okay? Go on out.
I'm detained.
You're detained. Walk out there.
As the walls seem to close in on Wade, he's forced to make a decision. He can stick to his guns or prove to the police that they really have nothing to worry about.
What's in the cooler?
Oh, that's for when the summer comes around. I'm gonna have parties and stuff. So.
All right, no problem.
Police officer asks Wade again for permission to open the big cooler. Where he suspects the body of the missing woman is hidden, Wade again tries to avoid the question and change subject really fast.
Okay, can I look in that cooler over there?
That's kind of, like I said, later on and summer stuff, but I'm trying to keep my stuff kind of private, you know?
Well, that's fine. All I want to do is open it, say, KJ, you in there, and then close it right back up, and I'll get out of here. You'll be out of handcuffs, and we'll be gone.
Well, let's have a warrant for the rest of this, and I'll just get detained. I don't understand why all this.
Seemingly confused at the invasion of his personal space, Wade agrees to wait it out while officers request a search warrant.
Why don't you just have a seat right there?
Well, do you mind if I wait out here? I mean...
No, I gotta type up a search warrant. But at this point, I'm suspicious that she is in there.
Why?
So, because you won't let me look in that cooler or any other big boxes in there. I didn't see anything else I need to look through, but that big cooler, I have no idea what size she is. If she's a little person, you could probably put 2 of her in that cooler. That cooler was that big. So, basically, I was going to make sure she's not hidden in there. It took you a little while to answer your door, so I don't know if she was...
The reason why I took a while is because I had to get dressed.
Okay.
Yeah, he messed up by declining. He should have never let him in to begin with if he knew that he had her or whatever inside of that. That was a bad move on his part.
But if you've been following the stuff that's been going on in Idaho lately, something's that the tides are changing in Idaho. In the last couple of videos, we've been talking about how they've been culling the chickens because of the bird flu. And I want you guys to understand, too, that they're using the PCR test for that. And I want you to go do your homework on how reliable that test actually is. Okay? And you guys got to start peeling open this onion. On May 16th, just a short while ago, news surfaced of an outbreak at Hendricks Poultry in Iona County. And the company announced 400 layoffs and that 6.5 million poultry likely will be killed to stop the spread in Iona County alone. Nearly 91 million poultry in the U.S. are affected. With outbreaks in 48 states as of Friday, according to the Center of Disease Control. Additionally, 9 states, including Michigan, have reported outbreaks of the avian flu in cattle, and with 49 herds across the U.S. are impacted. Okay? I have more here. Don't go anywhere now. I'm telling you guys, they are coming for this food system, and they're coming for the homesteaders. Please understand me when I'm telling you. The whole deal, they have to control all of the food or it's not going to work. This is going to be a kind of a slow, fast process, right? It's not going to happen like overnight or anything, but they are moving towards that right now at record speed. And they're going to use this stuff to get you there through the fear and everything, okay? Cal-Maine Foods and Farewell reported a case of H5N1 bird flu, forcing the production at the entire facility to cease. The nearly 2 million chickens account for just under 4% of its flock. Okay? Here's another story. You could just spend 2 seconds and type in this stuff, and you can see all of these facilities that are getting bugged up by this right now.
Over there holding up some big lamp light. This is the moon. So far, can't see it. You can't see it with the naked eye. You have to zoom in. There it comes. And there it is. There it is. Yes, sir. There it is. There it is. Look at that. Look at that. Get a little closer. There it is, in space. It is June the 21st, after 11, 2024. Let me zoom back out. No, I'm not panicking. I've been seeing this thing for a year, and so has my neighbors. I'll let you know how far zoomed in of the moon I was. Here we go. This is not what you're seeing. This, if I zoomed in, what do you see? Bricks. I'm sorry if people think this video is a bit strange. It's because it is, but you got a lot of people trying to discredit this face. But if you know, you know. And I don't have to prove anything to anybody. There it is. You see? And there is something strange that flew by up there. I don't know what that was. There it is. See? Look at it. Picture perfect. There it is. There it is.
The creepiest thing about all of this is that humans' eyes can't see 99% of the spectrum. So could you imagine if things like this are around you all the time, and maybe that's why we have intuition and instinct? Like we know when something's looking at us and things like that.
The reporter who recorded that video, Kim Dong-chul, was arrested in North Korea after that thing went viral, and he was sentenced to 10 years of hard labor for espionage. And the girl in the video was allegedly found dead a few weeks afterwards, around October 20th, 2010. So Kim was the reporter who actually filmed that interaction on a hidden camera. Obviously, videos from inside North Korea are completely censored. There's almost nothing that shows us the reality of life inside the dictatorship. But this soot-covered woman told Kim that she was working in the fields trying to gather grass to feed rabbits. She also discussed with the reporter that she had lost her home recently, and that she had also lost both of her parents and was living on the streets. She also went on to describe the horrific conditions inside of her home country. And this was shocking for the world to see because everybody knew that this is what was happening in North Korea, but I don't think up until this point people had visually seen what was happening. Somehow Kim managed to sneak the footage out of North Korea, but like I said, he was eventually arrested and sentenced to 10 years of hard labor, in part because of this video. And this was widely published across the internet. I'm actually going to play the rest of it for you now. It's really hard to watch stuff.
That's why you always gotta be grateful for what you have, and you're in a better situation. We already knew North Korea was like that, but what fascinates me so much about these dictators is that how can you have such a fragile ego that you want everything, you want to control everything, and you want to make everything look like perfect, but it's just an illusion. It's not perfect, just to help your ego. Like I would never understand. I would imagine if I had a huge ego like that, you would think you would make it so you would make whatever country you were in like perfect, not because you care about helping people, but because you care about your ego so much. You want people to praise you so much. But I guess I'll just never understand the psychology behind dictators.
Javier is remodeling a home when he hears a child crying in the basement.
Verga, sí se escucha más. Estoy aquí en la casa de remodelación. Acabo de rellenar, hicimos ese shower y esto. Y desde hace rato vengo escuchando un llanto como de niño. Oigan. Pero el pedo es de que aquí en la casa esta, pues, no hay, están todos los cuartos vacíos. Y me da miedo ir al basement, pero... Verga, a ver, deja checar. Porque allá afuera no hay nada. Hola. La verga. No hay nada. Güey, no mames. No mames.
Personally, I would never go to a child if I heard something like that, empty house. You don't know if that's a setup or not. I always find that fascinating, these scary type videos that the person always goes to and try to find a source. I don't think that's very smart. I don't think a person with common sense would do that.
Have you ever heard of something called the not deer? Because that's what we're talking about tonight. The not deer is a cryptid, we'll call it, because I don't know what else to call it, that supposedly lives mainly in Appalachia. So anywhere where the Appalachian Mountains are, that's its home. It's a creature that looks like a deer from far away, but the closer you get to it, the more things that you start to see wrong with it. That can be multiple antlers, eyes in the front of its head instead of the side of its head, limbs that bend the wrong way, and sometimes deer that walk on hind legs. Now, there are deer that get up on their hind legs so that they can grab something off of a tree to eat. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about deer that walk on their hind legs like a human does. Most of the people who have encountered this are driving on a road at night through a remote area and they see a deer and they're like, oh, I need to slow down. There's a deer and it might jump out in front of me. And then the closer they get to it, the more things that they start to see are wrong with it. And everyone describes this feeling of dread, like they know something is wrong. The reason they're called not deer is because you know that's a deer, but it doesn't look like a deer. The best way I can describe it is if you are looking at something that you know has always looked like a certain thing, but there's just something off about it and you can't place it. Now, I haven't heard or seen any stories where this deer has done anything to harm people. It's just seeing something like that and you don't know what it is because it's not natural. So if you're ever out in the woods in the night, make sure you are keeping a lookout for the not deer.
Oh, sounds like a zombie deer. Yeah, I don't ever plan on going to mountains, especially at night. All the weird things that go on in West Virginia.
This is one of the most disturbing news stories I've read in a long time, and I feel like nobody's talking about it. So this is 46-year-old Marius Gustafsson, otherwise known online as Eunuch Maker. Recently, he was sentenced to a lengthy term in prison because of what he was doing on the dark web. You see, Marius ran a website called Eunuch Maker. This is a screenshot from the website. And if you paid a certain amount of money, you could get access to all the files on the website. But what were these files, you ask? Well, I'm going to read this to you. It's extremely graphic, so listener discretion advised. Apparently, Marius was involved in illegal surgical procedures that he was videotaping and photographing that included castrations, the use of clamps to crush balls, PP removal, the freezing of limbs, and administering electric shocks to a 16-year-old boy. Sorry I had to censor some of those words, but this is just too graphic. Keep in mind, while he was removing these body parts from the willing participants, he was videotaping this and oftentimes live streaming it to paid subscribers on his website. Over the course of 4 years, through his website, The Eunuch Maker, Marius actually took in over £300,000, and he had 22,841 paying subscribers. How unbelievably disturbing is that? But Marius wasn't running this whole thing by himself. He had people that worked with him to carry out these procedures, and people that actually approached him after watching some of his content, wanting him to perform a procedure on them. Eerily enough, the videos Marius were producing first started out with a low production value, but according to the government, as he started making more and more money, the videos were filmed with an even better camera, lighting, and they even had a professional look, feel, and edit to them. Keep in mind, these were videos of him performing illegal castrations and disturbing, extremely gruesome surgical procedures. So, to carry out these procedures, Marius and his gang used things like kitchen knives, surgical scalpels, and even implements and tools designed to be used on livestock. This is actually one of the knives used in one of his videos, and after the procedures, the victims would be left writhing in pain and would be forced to go seek medical attention. Now, I'm sure that the rest of these people in Marius's association are going to get prison time themselves for helping carry out these procedures and making money off of them. But yeah, this is truly disturbing. I mean, this guy from the outside would look like a very normal, kind of happy gentleman. But it's always in the darkest corners of the human mind and the internet where these dark deeds are carried out. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife Courtney. It's available on all streaming platforms.
No, he actually looked like the type of person I would suspect that would do something disgusting like that. I hope that him and everyone involved go to jail for life, because the pain they inflicted on them, I hope the pain comes back to them tenfold.
Sunflowers are turning their backs to the sun. Now, we've been talking about the sun not being normal, and it's intensely hot. It's not where it should be, according to my calculations. When I look at the apps that tell you where the actual constellations are, and then it shows you where the sun is, well, the sun isn't where it should be. Now, people have said this is sidereal, and that we all know that sidereal means perspective. Everything is perspective, because the sun isn't moving through the constellations in the heliocentric model, right? It's the Earth that is moving through the constellations, and it's just perspective as to where the sun is. So we have a lot of anomalous things going on. I don't subscribe to the heliocentric model, but I'm telling you that what people are saying as actual fact and truth, people who believe in the heliocentric model, it apparently, obviously, is not adding up. So you have to explain these things. Why is the sun not where it should be? Why was the sun not in the same exact spot yesterday when I looked through my window from the same exact location? The sun was not in the same place. The sun is making pulsating, crazy light shows all around the world. There are two suns in the sky. There's some kind of weird object in front of the sun and some kind of heat shield, according to some people who have taken actual video and photographs of this. Now, I have a theory based upon Nostradamus' prediction about the sky shall burn at 45 degrees. And I've always wondered what that meant. In the heliocentric model, this cannot be explained. But in the geocentric atomic world model, the primer field model, or the flat earth model, whatever you want to call it, the sun is actually spiraling above us on its circuit, as is the moon, as are the stars and the constellations. So as the sun is moving, if it is moving in an odd way, in a different direction, or faster, or anything like that, it would cause strange anomalous things to occur. However, there's also the possibility that there is in fact technology they're using in front of our sun, our actual real sun, in place of our sun, as what they would call a sun simulator or artificial sun. So all of these things have to be considered when we see these things like sunflowers turning away from the sun. That's not normal. So everybody that keeps saying, oh, you're making stuff up, people are crazy, whatever, the sun's exactly the same. You're the crazy one. You're the one that's not paying attention, and you can't explain it. But are you going to explain to me why sunflowers would turn away from the sun? That's what they do. They follow the sun, hence the name sunflowers. The reason I post these kinds of videos is because I want to get to the bottom of it. I want to get to the truth. And I just automatically assume that other people want to know the truth too. But apparently a lot of people don't want to know the truth. Those people I don't have time for. You just keep on going and don't comment. Just go away. I don't have time for you. I only want to converse with people who actually have valid theories, ideas, and information. Thanks.
All I have to say about everything she just said is that the sunflowers turn away from the sun when they're ready to be harvested.
Is it just me, or do things just seem off? Like something's just not right. And I'm not saying ever since the eclipse, but you might as well just go ahead and say ever since the eclipse. Because I've seen a couple videos like that, and I can only speak for myself, but 3 times this week have I been approached by absolute freaking strangers. And they've almost said the exact same thing. People that didn't know me from Adam just said everything just seems off. It doesn't feel right. I don't know what that means in particular on a physical level, but maybe on a spiritual level, maybe there is something. Now check this out. Now, this isn't the first time that I've seen a video like this. Now, the last kind of video that I posted about this, the guy ended up being a complete weirdo. He posted a bunch of weird shit on Reddit. I got tipped off to it, and so I deleted that video because I didn't want to have no part of that. And I'm not going to get into that. But this guy seems absolutely sincere. I could see the look on his face. Watch this video and let me know what you think.
I experienced something that I've never experienced in my life before. Freaked me out. Thought I was crazy. Still haven't processed it fully. As I do every week, twice a week, I make deliveries to the same guy. I've been doing it for 7 months. And it's the same guy every time I walk in. He's got a big garage with like a couple trucks in it. I walk in, I hand him his parts, we talk for a minute, I walk away. I go on my business. Today, I walked in, and he had his back to me, and he was working on his bench. And he must have heard me coming. I don't know, because I was actually pretty quiet, I thought. But when he turned around, I jumped and kind of grabbed my mouth like that because I didn't know what to think. And he laughed a little bit, and he called me jumpy. And I was like, I'm just not feeling very good. And I handed him his part, and I was like, hey, I got to go. The reason I reacted that way is because when I looked at him, he was different. He didn't look like the same guy I saw every other time. First thing I saw was he had no color in his eyes. They were completely black. Black. Like you couldn't even see reflections. It was just a black mass. And for some reason, his ears were kind of weird, and they had like this little point like that. I don't know what that was. Excuse me. But then I was talking to my friend, and he sent me an article about them saying that a new disorder that's coming out where people are starting to see demon faces in people. And it got me thinking, if they're putting something like that out, could it be a disorder, or is it God is actually letting people see demons and they're just trying to make it look like we're crazy? I still can't process it. I can't. I don't know. And like ever since the eclipse, I find it funny. The clouds look different for some reason. I don't know what it is yet. I'm going to figure that one out. But that could be just me being dumb. The other thing I saw, like I have perfect vision. So I don't know what I saw. If anybody else has ever seen this, can you please let me know? Because I'm kind of weirded out right now. Anyway, God bless. Love you. Take care.
This is one of those things that I believe this guy. I absolutely believe that this shit is real. I was having a conversation with my mother and father about 3 days before the eclipse. And for some reason, and it's never for some reason, there's always a reason. But for some reason, I blurted out, I think that we're walking around with people that aren't real. And my dad says, what are you talking about? I said, I think in our day-to-day walk, in our day-to-day walking around, that we encounter people that are not real. That I don't know if they're demons in human skin, or if that I don't know what they are,
or why they're here. But when you look in their eyes, there's nothing behind their eyes. And they can't all be psychopaths. You can't just look at them. They can't just all be psychopaths. I think the veil between the physical world and the spiritual world is thinning. And I think that the further we get, the more crazy shit we're going to see. Maybe I'm absolutely freaking wrong. And if I am, at least it's a fun thing to talk about, right? Damn it, man.
Personally, I think things have been off since 2016, mainly May 2016. I felt like we went to a parallel timeline. That's just personally what I think, because things have been crazy and just weird ever since. So I haven't seen no demon faces or nothing like that, thank goodness. But I can understand where they're coming from.
We went into the house not knowing what to expect and definitely not prepared for some of the things we were about to hear and experience. Nestled at the corner of Maple and Monroe Streets in a quiet Hanover neighborhood, a house that hasn't felt much like home for its owners since shortly after moving in. It's known as Hanover's most haunted house, featured on the Travel Channel's show The Dead Files.
So now what would happen up here that you're not sleeping up there?
I was coming up the steps, and then I felt two hands just like that.
The owners, Deanna and Tom Simpson.
As soon as we pulled up, I was just instantly drawn to it.
Deanna fell in love with the house's quirks and charm. It reminded her of a childhood home in Kentucky, but that love story soon turned into a nightmare. One the Simpsons say they can't seem to escape.
The problem is that nobody wants it for a home because it's not safe. I've been thrown down the steps. I had a fractured tailbone. We've been bit. We've been scratched.
In fact, the last time Fox 43 visited the Simpsons' house, our photographer believed he was scratched by something.
Just a couple minutes into the interview, our photojournalist, Nick, felt his wrist burning.
Are you okay? Did you get scratched?
He was behind the camera, but Simpson knew what had happened right away.
Deanna and Tom lead us on a tour of the 3-story home. We learn Tom is slightly skeptical, but unable to deny something's happening here.
The thing was, I used to kid her about, well, you're ghosted, this, that, and one day I was at the kitchen table saying that to her, and I got a burning sensation. I actually had a scratch. That's why I said, there might be something to this.
I started crying and I said, how do you explain that? How do you explain that? What happened there? You know, there's no cats around. We're just sitting here.
Deanna, the main victim in this haunting, recalls horrifying stories throughout the couple's 10 years here. This elk head remounted several times after Deanna and Tom found it on the floor, the same room where Deanna and Tom have felt sick.
This is where we thought we were having a heart attack. We would end up going to the local hospital. We would drive there, and as soon as we left the house, we felt better.
And in another room, Deanna says she's watched by a woman outside the window, and something crawls into bed with her at night.
A couple times I was actually pinned down in the bed. I couldn't move.
We experienced some phenomena ourselves. Like when Fox 43 photographer Drew Zala hears a noise he just can't explain while getting shots of the house. And in the basement.
And down here is the family room that we never, ever use.
Where I begin to feel something strange.
Ow!
Did you get that when you come down? Did you feel that? Okay.
I did not. What did you guys feel?
You just feel all of this pressure in your head, like all of a sudden just pounding.
Right
in here.
Right here. I did not feel that upstairs.
No, because downstairs we have like 3 levels of haunting. You have your basement, and you have your first floor, and then you have the upstairs. And it's like they all stay in these areas.
Deanna says she captured a spirit on camera. She calls him the Shadow Man. In other parts of the house, voices. Something even saying my name. And to make matters spookier, I suddenly became very cold, shivering uncontrollably.
You're shaking pretty good, look. Your leg's going a mile a minute.
The Simpsons have tried a number of cleanses with no luck.
We've had a priest, a preacher, a shaman, a Reiki healer, a witch, And then Tom and I just said, look, nobody's able to do this. We're just going to do it ourselves. And we just can't do it. It's just bigger than us.
For now, they'll continue to decorate the house, making it their own. And Deanna says they have their faith. It's just a question of how much longer will they be able to stay. And when we went back to the station and watched our footage, we heard slams, noticed equipment malfunctions, and growls recorded on camera.
If they would have never talked about the physical scratching, I would have been like, maybe it was CO2. But I've been through situations like that before growing up, and as an adult living in houses where certain areas just feel really cold all of a sudden, physical scratches too, as well as feeling like nasty, dark energy dripping on you while you're trying to go to sleep. And once I moved from that place and moved into an apartment, which I'm currently at now, all that went away. So yeah, I definitely believe that people carry things with them, and houses as well, especially people definitely carry negative energy that can physically like make you sick. That is a thing.
Believes that multiple serial killer truckers are currently on the loose, hunting for victims along American highways. Take a look at this map from the Highway Serial Killings Initiative database. The red dots show where remains have been found along highways over the past 30 years. Well, right now, the FBI believes at least 850 murders are linked to long-haul truckers.
We started noticing within our database a number of bodies along the side of the road. Victims kept coming up as prostitutes, specifically truck stop prostitutes, and one after another, our main suspects or confirmed offenders were identified as truck drivers. They're extremely difficult to track down, and the mobility of their occupation allows them access to so many different areas of victim selection and then victim release locations.
When Frank Figliucci, a former FBI assistant director for counterintelligence, heard the disturbing data, he realized that he needed to zero in. So he spent a year riding more than 2,000 miles in a semi to research the subculture and find answers. Well, that research culminated in his new book, Long Haul, Hunting the Highway Serial Killers. And he writes, quote, part cowboy, part fighter pilot, part hermit. Long haul truckers glide along the edge of a certain seam in the fabric of our society, the seam that separates their reality from ours. Killer truckers exploit that seam. Well, the book explores some notorious cases like that of Robert Ben Rhodes, the man known as the truck stop killer. He was finally busted in April of 1990 when a state trooper pulled him over in Arizona. But that trooper was not prepared for the shocking discovery he made. A woman chained inside of the truck's cab, screaming, covered in red welts and lacerations with only slippers on her feet. Well, police soon learned that that man had built a torture chamber in the rear of the semi. It is possible he killed as many as 50 people. And this author joins us live. We're so glad to be speaking with him about more on his new book. Thank you so much for making the time tonight.
Thank you, Natasha, for helping get the word out.
Yeah, so the FBI says at least 850 murders are linked to long-haul truckers. Did you find any other troubling data in your research?
Yeah, the numbers don't get any better. So 850 roadside murders of women, mostly sex-trafficked women, but not all. And then there are 200 of those murders that are considered unsolved and active investigations. And when I asked the FBI, how many suspects are you currently looking at? The answer is 450 within the trucking community. In fact, 25 long-haul truckers are already serving time in prison for murders as part of this initiative, but that has not made a dent in the unsolved cases.
What makes it so difficult to pinpoint these murderers to get to the bottom of these cases?
You know, these 18-wheelers are essentially mobile crime scenes. They'll grab a victim in one jurisdiction, they'll rape or murder her in a second jurisdiction, and they'll dump the remains in a third jurisdiction. So that's challenge number one for law enforcement as they try to determine who they have on their hands in terms of a dead body and putting a name with the body, let alone identifying who's done it. And then you've got the nature of the victims. They are almost all sex trafficked. That means that the families may not even know that they're missing. So it's tough to get someone to champion their cause with the law enforcement community. And that's part of what I hope will happen with this book.
Yeah, certainly. This forgotten population, I think that a lot of times they do not get the light that they deserve on their case. You know, and obviously most truckers are not serial killers. We have to say this. Can you speak about the experience with the trucking subculture that you found going all of those miles in a semi-truck? What did you learn about the isolation, the general lifestyle, and the implications for a serial killer?
Yeah, I put my investigator hat back on after retiring from 25 years in the FBI, retiring as assistant director, and I came away incredibly impressed with the hard work and dedication of the American trucker. In fact, in part, I dedicate my book to the stalwart American trucker. The data in terms of their impact on the economy is astounding. We know that grocery stores would run out of goods in 3 days if truckers stopped, but there is a dark side to long-haul trucking. And I ask the question, you know, nature or nurture? Is it a predilection to kill and to be violent against women that attracts some people to the long-haul job and certain kinds of trucking? I go deep into that. We know that studies show that 44% of truckers are exhibiting signs of major clinical depression. 20% of them binge drink 5 or more drinks at a sitting, and 10% of truckers say they drink alcohol every single day.
That is so important, and we're almost out of time, but very briefly, what is your biggest recommendation for the FBI as they investigate all of these unsolved cases, all of these murders that may be linked to these long-haul truckers? Out of the research, What is your recommendation?
As an investigator, I tried to narrow down that pool of 450 suspects by focusing on the question of corporate drivers versus owner-operators, and specifically, what kind of truck are we talking about that might lend itself to being the killer? My recommendation would be that they focus on the type of trucking and the nature of the truck being driven.
It is a fascinating topic and such a deep dive. And look, the book again, Long Haul, Hunting the Highway Serial Killers. Frank Figliuzzi, I really appreciate your time and insight tonight. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
Or people that do foul things, they look at the long haul trucking as an excellent way that can fit their lifestyle when it comes to doing those devious and disgusting acts. So truckers, whether it be a common job for a person doing disgusting things, will be a long haul truckers. Truckers are very important to the economy. Like, we can't do anything without them. I feel like they should get paid more, and they should definitely get more help for.
A lot of people wonder why they say in the Appalachians not to go into the woods at night. Not to whistle, not to sing, and always make sure you close your windows and you lock your doors, and absolutely never respond to anything that calls your name. So this goes back to an old Native American belief in the area that these mountains were home to spirits and that they would come out and wander during the night. And I've heard 2 stories that will give you an idea as to why you should not do these things at night. So there was a man named Jeff. He lived outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. And he was told about this spot up in the mountains where there was some good mushrooms. But no one would go to this area because they were very superstitious. So Jeff thinks, I'm going to go to this area and get a good haul. And, you know, what do I care? There's no such thing as ghost. So he goes out, he parks his car, he goes into the woods, and he's hunting for several hours. Starts to notice the sun is going down, it's getting dark. It's time to head back to his vehicle. Now, as he's walking through the woods, he all of a sudden hears, Jeff, come here. Come, Jeff. and he hears his name being called. So Jeff knows from legend that if you hear something calling your name, you do not respond. So he just keeps on walking, and all of a sudden he hears this louder and louder, his name being called. And then he starts hearing screaming coming from deep in the woods. And he hears laughter, and he hears what sounds like people just talking all around him. So he starts walking faster and faster, and he knows the way he came in, but for some reason it feels like the trees are almost moving, and he is going in the wrong direction now. And finally he comes out sort of to this open area, and he sees a man standing out in this field, but he's turned around looking in the opposite direction. So Jeff goes up and approaches this guy and says, "Excuse me, sir, do you know the route back to the highway?" And when this man turns around, Jeff realizes that it's himself, and he's all bloody and bruised, and he's just staring back at him. So Jeff runs as fast as he can for several miles, gets in his car, and drives back home. Later that night, he's awoken to hearing voices inside his room calling out to him, "Jeff, come back, come." And so Jeff never went back into the woods again, mushroom hunting. And the second story I've heard is there was a couple who decided they were going to live in the Appalachian Mountains for a summer. They find this cabin for rent, and they're surprised at how cheap the price is for 6 months. So they rent this cabin, and they go out there and they bring all their stuff to move in. And this guy in a truck, he meets them out there, and he's very nervous. And he tells them, "Hey, at night, you're going to want to lock your doors and close the blinds." And then he gets in his truck and he leaves as fast as he can. So this couple is just in awe of how nice this log cabin is, and the fact that they got it for almost, this huge steal. So that night they go into their cabin, they make themselves comfortable. It gets dark, and all of a sudden they hear a thump, thump, thump up on the roof. And it sounds like something or someone is walking across the roof. And then they hear banging on the side of the house, and they hear these large booms and creaks and sounds coming all around them from outside. It sounds almost like their house is being invaded. Eventually, the sound dies down and daylight comes. The next day, same thing happens, and for several weeks this goes on. So finally, the husband is fed up, and he says, "You know what, I'm done. We're taking our home back. We're tired of being harassed." So in the middle of the night, when these sounds start happening again, he goes to the window, he opens the curtains, and then he looks out the window, and standing out behind the window is a woman, and she has this pale, long face and white, gray hair going over her shoulders. And he notices she has solid white eyes, and she's just staring at him. And then she points directly at him, and that's when all hell breaks loose. He starts hearing banging on the roof, banging on the sides of the house. The house feels like almost like an earthquake is happening. And then he shuts the blinds, they run into the bathroom, and they hide for the rest of the night. The next day, they decide we're through with this, and they leave, never to return again.
Don't say I didn't warn you. If you're planning a trip to the Smoky Mountains and you're going to stay in a cabin, you probably won't after you hear this story. If you've ever wondered what true terror feels like, I'm getting ready to tell you. This story was submitted by one of my followers, and it literally gave me chills while reading it. This video will be longer because I want to share this lady's story, and you want to watch it till the end because you may end up booking a hotel instead of a cabin after you hear about this. February of 2021, this lady and her boyfriend decided to book a cabin in Gatlinburg just to have a nice getaway. Well, on the day of, they're on their way to this cabin, and she said they were about 30 minutes out when they received a phone call from the rental company telling them that they didn't get the cabin that they originally booked. There was some plumbing issues or some kind of maintenance problem, so they actually got them a different cabin. They were unfamiliar of its location or the amenities or what it looked like, but they were already almost there, so they just went with it. She said upon their arrival, when they pulled into this cabin, they hadn't even got out of the car. She said she just felt a eerie feeling, just uneasiness, just pulling up in the driveway. Something just felt off. That's the way she described it. But they get out of the car and walk up to the door to put the code in. It wouldn't work. So they called the rental company again. They gave them another code. It didn't work. This happens 2 or 3 times, and the last time the lady at the rental company, she just stayed on the phone with them, and she said this is very strange, that these codes aren't working. But the last one finally did allow access, and they went into the cabin. Upon entering the cabin, there was a bedroom just off the side of the entrance of the cabin, and they walk in to check it out. Keep in mind, they hadn't seen pictures of this place. They didn't know the layout, anything. So they immediately walk in this first bedroom, but they didn't stay long. She described this feeling of just heaviness. Her and her boyfriend both felt this heavy, uneasy feeling. So they just immediately crossed that one off the list and went to explore the cabin. The kitchen and living room area was downstairs, but they go on up to the second level. And she said there was this weird sitting area that had like a couch, a TV stand, but no TV. But they did find another bedroom, and she said it did feel much better in there. The rest of that day, they just, get unpacked and they get settled in, and everything goes according to plan. No issues at all. They enjoy the rest of their day, and at some point, they just go to bed. No problems. The second night would prove to be much different. It's later in the evening, and she said that she needed to do some training for work on her iPad, so she went downstairs while her boyfriend remained upstairs watching a football game on TV. The whole time she was on her iPad, she could just feel eyes on her. It felt like she was just being watched continuously. She also explained the feeling of if you're just like sitting in a room looking down and you can feel the presence of someone else enter the room, but no one's there. That's what she just felt over and over. She ultimately just dismissed this. It was a new place, a new environment. She wasn't familiar with it, so it was just a little off. She decided to take a break from her work, and she found the guest book, and she started flipping through it. The weird thing she noticed at first that there had been several pages that had been ripped out and removed from this guest book. But she just kept scrolling through until she found at least 4 different guests who had left reviews that this place was crazy haunted. Some of the things she read described just hearing weird noises throughout the cabin at night, things that just sounded unnatural. What sounded like a kid rolling or throwing a ball down the steps. The downstairs bedroom door would open and close by itself. And this did freak her out, but she said it did make her feel a little bit better because it validated the feelings that she had been having since they arrived. So after reading all these spooky stories, she just closed the book and decided she didn't want to be down there anymore, so she just made her way upstairs to her boyfriend and just hung out with him the rest of the evening. He was still watching football games. She didn't mention anything to him, but they just enjoyed each other's company and made the most of the night. They eventually went to bed and went to sleep like normal without any issues. That is until she said it was sometime between 12 a.m., midnight, and 1 o'clock that she was woken up by a loud bang, and her boyfriend appeared to be fighting something in his sleep. This obviously scared her because, again, it appeared like he was fighting for his life in his sleep. But during this struggle, his hand, or his fist, actually slung over and hit the nightstand and made a loud bang. And simultaneously, he woke up and the power in the entire cabin went off. At this point, they're both awake, just laying in bed in pure terror. They are in pure fear because the downstairs in the kitchen area, she said you can hear people, what sounded like people, but it wasn't anyone else. You could hear things moving around just downstairs everywhere. And if that wasn't bad enough, the balcony that was adjacent to their bedroom, it joined their bedroom, which, keep in mind, is on the second level. It's very high off the ground. They kept hearing loud noises out on the balcony, knowing it's impossible that no one could be up there. You have to keep in mind also, she hadn't shared with her boyfriend what she had read in the guest book a few hours prior, but this was now deep in her mind, this haunted experience that other people were sharing, and now they're living through this and they are in absolute fear. She said they literally laid there in complete silence because they were too scared to talk. They laid there all night until sunrise. When the sun finally came up, they got up and packed their bags. She did take time before they actually left to go to the guest book, and she wrote her encounter of what happened and also stated this place was crazy haunted, and they headed off the mountain. Once they were off the mountain and they both could breathe a little bit, a sigh of relief, she then shared with her boyfriend what she had read in the guest book the night before about all these other encounters people had had with paranormal activity. To her surprise, after she told him this, he said that night also, while she was still downstairs and he was up watching the football game, that he had the same feeling she did. He felt like someone was in there with him and eyes were just locked in on him the whole time. The reason he was fighting in his sleep, he said that he was dreaming that they were in bed together like they actually were. She said that he said there was a huge man standing over top of him in a flannel shirt and overalls, and he had his hands wrapped around his neck, and he was fighting for his life. That's why he threw his fist over and hit the nightstand. They both vowed at that moment they would never return to the mountains again to spend the night. If you guys have experienced anything like this, let me know in the comments. This cabin is also still available for rent, by the way, if you're interested. You guys have a great day. God bless.
That is a terrifying story. That could literally be like an analog horror short film, in my opinion. He's really good at storytelling. But yeah, he definitely make me never want to go to cabins ever again.
I read a classified report, and I don't know if it's real or not, that said it wasn't a crash landing. They were having mechanical problems, and it was a controlled crash landing. Are you allowed to talk about that, first of all?
Well,
because I know you did a big thing.
Yeah, we did a major investigation. Our group, the Advanced Working Group, did a major investigation on that. We had 11 people, all retired federal agents or intelligence officers, out there for weeks and weeks at a time, interviewing the family members in Spanish. We had Spanish-speaking investigators. And we came to the conclusion, looking at some of the film that hasn't been released, that they won't release now, but we did see it.
That's a good sign.
That these things were not human. They were definitely not human. The pictures that we saw, and I wasn't out there, but our other people were out there, looked like extraterrestrials. The typical extraterrestrials that were non-human, but they were really tall. They were
very tall. Yes.
Yeah, 8 to 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
And another thing that has never been released is the property directly to the east had a camera. In the backyard, and one of the creatures came over his fence, hit a swimming pool, and picked up water out of that swimming, or did something with water. You can't really see what it was doing, but it was kneeling down. It wasn't drinking the water, but it looked like they were putting water in some kind of a container.
I saw it.
But those things, they were not human.
No.
The way he jumped, the way it jumped up, based on that lamp post that was in the back, which was like 6 foot tall, it was at least 2 feet taller than that. So that's, you're talking at, 8 to 10 feet tall.
And the fence was 6 feet.
Right.
Yes.
jumped over
Easily.
and went back.
Right.
And then it did something to either repair itself and then took off and landed over in Lake Mead. A large military presence was over there. We tracked it. We talked to people camping out there. Oh, you see these military convoys pulling up. What are they doing out there? And then the story drops. Why did the United States government obtain a FISA warrant to search their property? Why did they surreptitiously go in, the government, and put cameras up in there? Well, this is after the fact. And why did a man who was supposed to be a high voltage electrician who was driving around that night and people saw him, in fact, other doorbell cameras seen this truck with a company name on it. I think it was Spurlock Corporation. And there's no such company. This guy that had went to a number of different houses, he was up on a telephone pole. And this is before the incident happened. And now they can't find the guy. They can't find the company. It's not licensed anywhere in Nevada. Some people say they've seen that truck going out towards Rachel, probably Area 51.
I heard this, yeah.
And so now you put all this together, and this is a major cover-up by the United States government. Something happened involving extraterrestrials. Now, there's two different stories here. One story is that this thing, or these entities, lived out in Area 51. They lived out there, and they were going to demonstrate this craft to us, but then something happened, and they had to land and repair it in some way.
That's what I heard, yes.
And then it took back off, and another problem. And the second story is that it was something that came in because there's a radar site over near Baker, California, FAA site, that tracked that thing all the way over to North Las Vegas. So what do you want to believe? Now, that might have been a story generated by the United States government as disinformation, but that's the confusing part of this. And now the people are gone. They don't live there anymore.
Get them out of here and change their names. They relocated them. What's the SDART protocol for that? What would it be today, if you can go over that really quick?
It would have been for the team out of Nellis, which was the closest team, obviously, just a few miles away, actually, to respond and connect with the North Las Vegas Police or Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and coordinate a recovery operation. But the problem there is that although there were OSI agents that were at that scene 45 minutes after those two officers arrived, there's two OSI agents, and we know who their names are, and we know they were stationed out of Nellis Air Force Base. They responded there, again, 45 minutes after. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's fast.
Yeah, exactly. So how did they know? Well, as we understand, going back to the chain of events, the dispatcher, somebody in the dispatch office, the central dispatch for Las Vegas, told one of the dispatchers, call Nellis Air Force Base and brief them on this to see if they tracked it or something. So she did. She called Nellis Command Post, and then 45 minutes later, two OSI agents were on scene.
Incredible. Yeah.
So if this wasn't anything, this wasn't nothing, this was just a hoax, OSI agents wouldn't have responded. They were both out of the Special Projects Branch. And why would they respond out of something that was a hoax? They wouldn't. They were something was real. And they notified the SDART.
Right.
But unfortunately, before the SDART ever got there, that's the thing that the craft had taken back off.
Yes.
And flew over towards Lake Mead.
Right.
Now, as I understand, the SDART team did go over there because it was spotted over there on radar, but it didn't crash over there. It landed on the shore, landed on some little island out in the middle of Lake Mead to do something like maybe get water or we don't know, and took back off, and it was tracked on radar all the way past Houston, Texas. So it was flying in the southeast for some reason at great altitudes. And another thing that the FAA at McCarran, or Harry Reid Airport now it's called, they tracked something that came from 65,000 feet down to 2,000 feet in a matter of a few seconds. Now, we don't have anything like that. We have no aircrafts that I know of, and pilots have seen this information.
Nothing.
We showed them. Can you descend in 3 seconds. No, you can't do it. Kill us.
Right.
So how did they do that? And was it the same craft? That's the problem. We don't know if that was the same craft, right, or of the craft that landed in that backyard was a different craft. But there was something that descended that quick at the same time period.
Right.
That was tracked on radar.
I was there the following day, and it was swamped. And they were already installing cameras down that road and in the backyard, military cameras. Rick, we talked about these 8 to 10 feet beings. Now, I read some things in the report. What's your take on the craft size that was in the backyard?
It's about 20 foot high. So it was twice the size, but it wasn't very big. It
was very slender.
Craft.
Yeah.
Very slender, like it was a two occupant craft. There were 2 occupants in it that came out, and they were, one was filmed from a distance, but the other one had jumped over that fence. You could see it plain as day on that camera. And so they weren't large beings.
Right.
They were skinny but tall.
Very tall.
And the craft was the same. So it was probably just 2. It was maybe a scout ship or some kind of observation or reconnaissance ship.
And we have to understand the different types of physics. The craft size doesn't matter. You know, and you've seen this before, where you have beings that are very large and the craft is really small, and it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense because it changes your atomic structure.
Exactly, and there's a classical example of this a doctor put up, who I used to work for, wrote about the fact that the exterior of the craft doesn't mean anything.
Nothing.
You look at the outside of the craft, could be 10 feet wide, but you look inside, it's the size of a football field.
Correct.
How can that happen? He explains in details how that can occur. And with our physics, that could happen.
That's amazing.
That was a crazy video. I'm not really surprised that the government could be hiding something like that. It would make sense they would hide it, because if that was to get, found out to the general public, people probably would freak out. And I don't know if that's the same house, but the person called 911 about some creature in his backyard. I think that's the same house. I think both of them was in Vegas. I'm sure somebody in the comments will let me know. But yeah, you don't want people going around harassing some a family because something like that was in their house. Regardless, they are among us.